Chapter: Bring to life the vision of happiness.
Soon after my trip from the Tiger, I paid another visit to Gelendzhik for a readers' conference on the book. The deputy head of the Krasnodar region's Gelendzhik district took me to the forest school of the pedagogue Mikhail Petrovich Shchetinin. A narrow macadam road led from the highway to the forest, and a small valley hidden between the mountains. The road soon gave out at an unusual two-story tower house, still incomplete. A Russian folk song in children's voices poured from the unframed window openings. This was the house of my forest visions, but now it was absolutely real. Without saying anything to anyone, I climbed over various building materials in order to touch this house with my own hands. When I got close, I saw a girl of about 10 nimbly climb down a ladder, walk up to a pile of river pebbles, and select stones which she put in a sardine tin. She climbed the ladder again, and I climbed after her toward the cascading, alluring singing. On the second floor, other children like her and a little older took the smooth stones from the container and cemented them to the wall, creating amazing, beautiful patterns. Two girls immediately wiped each stone attached to the wall carefully with wet rags. They were engrossed in what they were doing and in their song. There were no adults among them. Later, I learned that the foundation and every brick of this house had been laid by a child's hand. The children themselves had come up with the design and appearance of every corner of this house. This was not the only such building in their little school town. In this remarkable place, the children themselves built their buildings, their town, and their future, and they sang. Here, a 10-year-old girl was capable of building a house, drawing magnificently, cooking, and knowing ballroom dances and the skills of Russian hand-to-hand combat. The children of the forest school knew Anastasia. They told me about her themselves. 300 children from different towns in Russia study at the school. At this school, they actually complete the full course of high school mathematics in just 1 year and study 3 languages simultaneously. They're not selecting or producing prodigies here. They are simply allowing what is already inside the children to unfold. Mikhail Petrovich Shchetinin's school is under the Russian Ministry of Education and is free. The school doesn't advertise, but it has no vacancies. There are 2,500 applications for any place the moment it opens. It's hard to find words to describe the children's faces, beaming with happiness. I went to the school right after the readers' conference in Gelendzhik. I went with a small group of readers who had heard about my upcoming trip. Among the readers was the amazing Natalia Sergeyevna Bondarchuk, an actress, film director, and board member of the Rurik Society. Magnificently knowledgeable about esotericism, she spoke at the conference about Rurik and esotericism. She spoke a lot more intelligently than I did about Anastasia. Natalia Sergeyevna had her 10-year-old daughter Mashenka with her. After the conference, they were supposed to travel to a film festival in Anapa to join Mashenka's beloved grandmother, the famous actress Inna Makarova. But Mashenka's words rang out like thunder, like a call to insight.
Mama, please, just 3 little days, just 3! While you're at the festival, make it so I can stay at the school.
And pampered Mashenka did stay at the school for 3 days, to her mother's great amazement, who said sadly,
"We clearly are failing to give our children something. Even loving them, we are unconsciously robbing them."
There was a cameraman with Natalia Sergeyevna, and he filmed the children of the Shchetinin school talking about their interaction with Anastasia and about their understanding of life. I will quote here a conversation with children busy at the house tower construction site. Natalia and I asked the children questions. "One gets the impression that each brick of your house is filled with light energy of great power."
Yes, that's true.
An older red-haired girl replied,
A lot depends on the people who touched them. We did all this with love. We tried through our souls to bring to the future only the good and joyful.
"Who designed this building, columns, drawings?"
This is our joint idea.
"You mean everyone working here only seems to do his own job, but in fact, this is a shared idea?"
Yes, we gather every evening around the fire, where we think through and model the coming day. We think of the images there will be in our house. Some of the students here also act as architects, and they elaborate and unify the joint work.
What's the inherent image of the building we're all in right now?
The image of Svarga, the heavenly fire principle. You can see that here from the symbols and the stone amulets.
Can you pick out a head or leader among you?
We have a director, but mostly it's our shared thought working here. The lava, as we call it.
Repeat that. Thought is lava?
Yes, our state, image, desire.
Does everyone here work with satisfaction? Does everyone smile? Do everyone's eyes shine? Is everyone cheerful?
Yes, this is our life because we're doing what we want, can and love to do.
You said that each stone has its own pulse, a rhythm, right?
Yes, and it beats once a day.
Is it like this for all stones, or do some do it twice?
The pulse of all stones beats once a day.
Don't you think your house looks like a temple?
A temple isn't a shape, but a state. For instance, cupolas, they only help you enter into a certain state. Form is shaped by emotion. It's no accident the shape of a cupola and tent came to us, the reach for the sky, and the descending divine grace.
This house, where each stone has been laid by a good hand, can it heal?
Naturally.
It really does heal?
Yes, it does.
I looked more closely at the girls laying out this ornament of river pebbles on the chamber's wall. The girls, who are wearing quite simple, unfashionable clothing, are beautiful in an unusual way. And I thought, where will we meet our future wives? On dance floors, at parties, at resorts, we see our future wives made up and stylish, attracting us with their slender legs and charming figures. That's what we marry. Later, when the makeup is washed off, you look, and sitting in front of you is a grumbling hobgoblin who demands your attention and love. What happiness is there in living your whole life with a hobgoblin? What can you talk about with her? Furthermore, she demands material support from you. Oh, well, I was unlucky. But maybe that's exactly what we deserve. Of course it is. We have to be complete idiots to marry makeup and long legs. The lucky ones will get these little girls who are creating the wall ornament for wives. They will be able to build a handsome house, cook food with love, know foreign languages, be wise, intelligent, and beautiful when they grow up. And without makeup, they will be even more beautiful. Of course, many will want to take a woman like that for a wife, but who will these girls agree to marry? This was the question I asked the beauties in their simple clothes. Tell me, who would you like to marry? What should your husband be like? What quality should he have?
Goodness and patience, and he should be someone who loves his homeland. Someone who has honor and dignity.
So what do you understand by honor?
For me, honor is in a simple expression. I have the honor to be a Russian.
But what is a Russian?
It's someone who loves his homeland. Above all, it's someone who stands up for his homeland and would never let it down. No matter what the moment, even the most difficult. He considers himself a part of Mother Russia.
And will your children live for the homeland?
Yes.
That means your husband has to share that with you, right?
Yes.
The second girl's answer to the question was as follows.
He has to be someone capable of giving warmth and light to other people. If that comes from him, then the people around him will feel good, and so will our family. Someone rich in spirit, a healthy spirit, has incomparable wealth.
While the camera was on, no one asked the littlest girl a question, but later I did.
Maybe all the best ones will be married by the time I grow up, but my husband will still be very nice, good, and happy. I'll make him like that myself. I'll help him like Anastasia does.
This is when I saw and understood that Anastasia was sharing her abilities with children. Why with the children of Shchetinin's school? Because Mikhail Petrovich Shchetinin is the great wizard who has created and is continuing to create a dimension of love which will grow. Right now they're still small, dark, blonde Anastasias, but they'll grow up. They'll set out over the earth, creating the same kinds of oases until they fill the whole earth with them. As I stood on the second-floor chamber of this unusual house tower and examined the ornaments and drawings done by the children's hands but resembling masterpieces by the great artist, I sensed that I was in the greatest temple, full of the most light and the most good on earth. This was probably because the house, each millimeter of which had been touched with love by a child's hand, was filled with incomparably more light energy than certain temples. This got me thinking. Here we are, restoring destroyed temples and monasteries with modern technology and reinforced concrete construction, which is not that hard to do. We come into these temples with the sense of duty fulfilled and begin asking, Lord, give us your blessing. But we won't receive a blessing because at that time God's attention will be devoted to the children building their unusual house temple. He will worry that it will end in cement for the children, that there won't be enough brick and boards for the floor. And God will bless with love each person who helps them. I couldn't resist the temptation to show these small shoots. I couldn't resist doing what Anastasia had feared, and here is what happened. I was walking down a path by the kitchen tables that stood outside where children were working, and I suddenly felt a gentle warmth, as if someone had aimed a heat reflector at me. The warmth resembled what came from Anastasia when she looked and concentrated her gaze. Only this time it was quite weak. Nonetheless, I stopped and looked in the direction it was coming from. An 11-year-old girl was sitting at the last table picking over rice. She looked at me and smiled. I sat down with her. I was so close to the gaze of her eyes, which burned with a blue light, that I felt even warmer. "What's your name?" I asked her.
Hello. My name is Nastia, short for Anastasia.
So you can warm people with your gaze the way Anastasia does?
You felt it?
Yes. Little Nastia possessed Anastasia's ability, albeit not in full, to warm a body with her gaze. Natalia Sergeyevna Bondarchuk walked over and sat at the table, and the cameraman turned on his camera. Not at all embarrassed or stopping her work, Nastia started answering questions. Where do you get your knowledge and abilities?
From the stars.
What have you realized communicating with the Siberian Anastasia?
It is very important to understand and love your homeland.
Why is this very important?
Because the homeland is what our near and distant relatives created.
Who are your parents? What does your father do?
My papa is a teacher. It's nice at the school where he teaches, but here is better.
You live here like one big happy family. Are you forgetting your own parents?
Just the opposite. We love our parents more and more. We send them good thoughts so they'll feel good.
As the camera ran, I very much wanted Nastia to show the skeptics what her warming gaze was. Nastia, show all the people how you can warm with your gaze. There's the camera. Look into the lens and warm everyone watching.
Everyone at once is very hard. It might not work for me.
I kept insisting. I repeated my request, and the same exact thing started happening to Nastia that happened to Anastasia in the forest when, by the strength of her will, at a distance, with the help of her ray, she rescued the man and woman from the criminals' torturing. I described the scene in the first book. Anastasia explained then.
This isn't in my power. This was pre-programmed and not by me, and I can't intervene directly. They're stronger now.
Nonetheless, when I persisted and repeated my request, she carried it out, even while knowing she might perish. After my persistent repeated request, little Nastia tried to carry it out. 2 times in a row, she took a deep breath and held it, shut her eyes for a while, and then began looking calmly into the camera's lens. The bewitched cameraman fell still. Suddenly, Natalia Sergeyevna Bondarchuk tore off her scarf and covered Nastia with it. She was the first to notice the child's body starting to vibrate, and her face turning pale. I realized that I should not have repeated my request. There was no point wasting energy on non-believers. This would only heighten the malicious opposition in them. Adult visitors could not contain their desire to touch the children. They touched, hugged, and petted them like kittens. Why did I bring a whole group of these adults with me? After all, I knew that different kinds of commissions visited this school, delegations at various levels, and simply individual people, to look, to satisfy their curiosity, to come in contact with the grace emanating from its residents, to touch and take without offering anything of themselves. Anastasia may have been right when she said,
While trying to take the grace of a holy place, think about what you can leave behind of yourself. If you have not learned how to emit light, why take it and bury it in yourself, as in a grave?
I too had come to the school out of curiosity. Thanks to Anastasia, Mikhail Petrovich Shechetinin had received me. The children had already laid food out on the table and were feeding everyone who had come with me. We did not take only food from the table here. The fire in the children's vibrant little eyes gave us incomparably more. And what did we give them in return? Did we pat them on the head like patrons? I alone in the group, vexed with himself, moved off to one side and thought, All of a sudden, Lena and Nastya, whom I already knew, came up and stood next to me.
You have to relax. Adults are always like this. They want to pet us and hug us. They think hugging is the main thing. But today you've been nervous since this morning. Come to the glade with us and we'll tell you about Anastasia. I know what dimension she's in right now.
When we arrived at the glade, the cameraman who joined us said,
Let's try to shoot an interview with the girls. There should be excellent footage. Look at the beautiful landscape and no one is stopping us.
Maybe we shouldn't. We've probably already tortured them with all our interrogating.
But they'll be happy to talk to you. Visitors and journalists are not often allowed in at the school, but here we have this unique opportunity. It would be a shame to pass it up. Understand me as a professional.
I picked up the microphone and said to the girls, I need to interview you. I'm going to ask you questions and you answer them if you don't object.
If you need to, ask your questions.
Lena answered and Nastya added.
Of course, we'll answer.
The girls stood side by side, straightened their long, dark blonde braids, and looked me in the eye in anticipation of my question. After 2 trite questions, I fell silent, suddenly aware that these kinds of trite standard questions were asked of them by all the adults who visited, by the members of all the various commissions, and by the journalists. Meanwhile, the children could answer questions on a subject that not every adult would ever think about. The Cossack hetman was right when he said,
My son has studied at the school all of 3 months, but I can already tell that I too need to learn something and quickly. Otherwise I will look foolish next to him.
In general, don't we demean our children with silly questions, thereby suggesting to them that they aren't capable of more? I stood silently in front of the girls with the microphone and could tell from their faces that they were worried about me. They realized that I had stumbled and didn't know what to talk to them about. Then I confessed and said honestly, I don't know what to talk about with you, what question to ask. At this, a perfectly comic situation came about. The cameraman and I stood there, 2 grown mujiks, and before us were 2 little ones, energetically supporting each other. Without a second thought, they quickly explained to us how to do the interview and how to speak to another person.
You have to relax. You have to know how to relax. The main thing is to speak sincerely. Speak about what's necessary, what excites you.
Don't think about us. You need to think about the other person when you talk to him, but don't think about us if it's hard for you. Relax. Ask us questions from your heart. We'll be able to answer. Don't think about us.
Until you can do that, why don't we tell you something ourselves?
They were walking across the glade, smiling, touching the grasses and talking. The depth of their knowledge of the universe, the purity emanating from their soul and their eyes shining with goodness plunged us into a state of calm and confidence. The cameraman shot at a distance without fussing over the change of plans. Later, I watched the video Natalia Sergeyevna gave me several times. I saw the little blonde, braided white magi. They'll grow up. There are 300 of them at the school. I'm writing about this school not to try to prove anything to anyone, but to gladden the hearts of those who have read my books and felt and understood Anastasia. If what I set out and how I set it out irritates you, you don't have to read it. I've already received plenty of criticism for my expository style, for my grammatical mistakes, and for my supposedly commercial motives. Nonetheless, I'm writing the next book now. If you don't like my books, better not read them. The events in the next books are more intense than in the previous ones, and the style isn't much better. It could rack your nerves completely.
End of chapter. Join us for the next segment of The Dimension of Love, Book 3 of the Ringing Cedars series. What to agree with, what